proceed where we have Truth, Freedom, and Health now worldwide communities. They're going to do a quick breakout. How about that, John? After, and then we'll continue our meeting, and they'll come back. Okay. And the Truth, Freedom, Health communities are people gone through the Warrior Scholar Training Program. They are then actually doing actions on the ground, educating others, writing articles. But it's a very active set of things that we do. So we've literally created a program. So there's the learning aspect, the education, there's the teaching aspect, and then there's a service aspect. Okay. So John, why don't we go live on the others, and then we'll start. Okay. And perhaps, John, what you can do is start with the video that we did for the election. Okay. Okay, perhaps Suresh can do that. Could you give Suresh the link to the video, John, which was our write-in campaign video? Yeah. So one of the videos, are we live, John? So welcome to everyone. This is our open house. We have people on our Zoom call from all over the world around the open house, but we also invite, so we're doing an open house within an open house. So all of you here can get to answer questions, but people all over the world will have an opportunity to watch our open house. What John's gonna, or Suresh is gonna start with is, in 2020, we ran a profound, very powerful campaign. We ran as Republicans in Massachusetts for US Senate. And it was our campaign long before all the Trump stuff occurred. We fundamentally exposed the fundamental issues of elections, not all the wacky stuff that came afterwards. There are fundamental issues. One of them is a violation of a very important law called 52 USC 20701, where ballot images should be preserved, they get deleted. And no one really enforces any of these laws, including the Department of Justice. We also discovered in our campaign that it wasn't the Democrats who screwed us, it was the Republicans, okay? Both parties do this. And by the way, the laws for election auditing were created by the Democrats 50 years ago. And it was to embrace auditing of elections, right? 22 months after an election. So in September 30th, 2020, by all accounts, we won by a landslide. The Republicans are so afraid of us as outsiders, they put a fool to run against us. Maybe had one lawn sign we saw. We had 10,000 lawn signs, 25,000 bumper stickers. We raised $2 million, which is extraordinary for a primary. And we were all over Massachusetts. In the hand-counted county of Franklin, we won by 10 points. In every other county, which were machines, we lost by 20 points. It was ridiculous to a guy no one even knew who they were voting for. So after September 1st, 2020, we didn't give up because we had such a powerful movement, ground force. We moved our campaign to a write-in campaign. So Suresh, when you share this, make sure when you go to share, you click on the thing where you're sharing the video, okay? There's a little button on Zoom. So we did a video, John and I put together this video we're gonna share with you, which really shares why we decided to do a write-in campaign and what had occurred. So Suresh, can you play that video, please?
I'm still waiting for the link.
Yeah. Yeah.
On the chat here, please. Oh, no worries. Give me a second.
John, I just sent you a quick text. You may just want to look at it. Okay. All right. You got it, Suresh?
Yeah, I got the video. I'm just sending it to myself so I can click here.
We want to start with this because the movement for truth, freedom, and health really came out, meaning it really surfaced out of that campaign, but it took probably about 20, 30 years to build the elements that you all are going to be afforded the opportunity to experience. All right, Suresh, can you share it?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Start sharing my screen.
On September 1st, the working people of Massachusetts rose up to elect one of their own for U.S. Senate. They united beyond black and white, beyond left and right, to unleash a movement for truth, freedom, health. 3,000 volunteers, 10,000 lawn signs, 20,000 bumper stickers, millions of phone calls, massive rallies, over 20,000 donations funding highway billboards, ads on social media, radio and network TV, making Dr. Shiva for Senate a household name. The people of Massachusetts were headed for a landslide victory. But on the eve of election night, Secretary of State Galvin spread disinformation saying only 150,000 would vote in the Republican primary, 100,000 less than 2018. On election night, Shiva for Senate won in Franklin County by nearly 10%, but lost in every other county by 20% to an invisible opponent, neither heard nor seen, had no lawn signs, no bumper stickers, no organization, in short, no campaign. In Franklin County, ballots were counted mainly by hand. In all other counties, mainly digital scanners generated ballot images tabulated by electronic software. Evidence comparing number of votes to voters revealed blatant fraud. In Boston, 4,000 more votes than voters. In Newton, 1,700 more votes than voters. More votes than voters in every city for which Shiva for Senate received data. Mathematicians and data analysts discovered a completely improbable frequency pattern of voting, revealing the software for electronic tabulation was set to reduce Shiva for Senate votes by 50% and increase their votes by 20%. More disturbing, ballot images were destroyed. Federal law demands all records, documents generated in connection with an election must be retained for 22 months. Massachusetts violated federal law. The establishment does not want one of us, working people, to represent us. When we win, they cheat. When we win, they rig their software to steal our democracy. You now have a choice. Accept election fraud, accept corruption, or fight. We choose to fight, to escalate our movement for truth, freedom, health by leading a write-in campaign for Dr. Shiva for U.S. Senate, to unite working people, to build a defiant movement, to expose and destroy their system of power, profit, and control. Join us. Write in Dr. Shiva for U.S. Senate now or by November 3rd. It's time for us. This is Dr. Shiva, and I approve this message.
So the reason, let's come back. The reason I give you that is if you take that data point, that was on, so September 1st, 2020 is when the government of Massachusetts with the Republican Party, okay, colluded against us, and we were also registered as Republicans. So we only had 30 days, and we moved our campaign to a write-in campaign, which is quite extraordinary, okay? We could have done that over 2 years, but in 1 month we did that. And the New York Times reported, I think we got close to 40,000 write-in votes, which is unheard of, okay? We probably got a lot more. And so in the middle of that, I was thrown off Twitter. And Twitter is the most important platform for anyone who's political. In the middle of a U.S. Senate federal campaign, when I'm a U.S. citizen, I'm a U.S., not only a U.S. citizen, but a U.S. Senate candidate. Why did we get thrown off Twitter? Well, we had an interaction with the Secretary of State's office, and through a series of 4 emails, which we still have, we put those up on Twitter, where the Secretary of State is admitting that she deleted the ballot images. You see, every time a ballot goes through a scanner, an image is created, a digital image. The artificial intelligence software on the machines is a thing that figures out where your dot is, okay? That's how it all works. So what is the ballot? The ballot is a ballot image, right? It's what's counted. In the rare cases when the machine can't count it, it kicks it out and a human being has to read it, okay? So anyway, we had discovered that in our campaign, and we simply shared the facts that ballot images were deleted, and we shared the email, the Secretary of State saying, yeah, I deleted them, big deal. You know, I basically don't have to follow the law because there is no law for that. We said, bullshit, federal law, there's 52 USC 20701. That's a code that was passed by a Democratic majority 50 years ago, which says that all records in connection with a federal election have to be preserved. Anyway, we get thrown off Twitter. In the middle of our write-in campaign, no lawyer wanted to take this case on. I represented myself. Pro se, it's called, in federal court, and we won. In that federal case, we showed that, how did I get thrown off Twitter? The government contacted Twitter. How did they contact Twitter? Through a special VIP portal that government has alone for its use to censor citizens. It's called laundering censorship. The judge was appalled. He tells them, judges don't like to give what are called temporary restraining orders, but he gave us that, all the terms of it. But unfortunately, we go back on Twitter on November 4th after the election's over, and I start tweeting away. And on February 1st, once again, when I share those 4 images of those emails, I'm thrown off. So we go back into court and we tell the judge, judge, they didn't honor your order, because when you told them not to do it, the AI on the machine, on Twitter's machine, had already embedded anytime this guy, Shiva Idri, puts up these images, take them off. So the judge then ordered us to bring in Twitter into the courtroom. So now it's me against 7 lawyers, okay? And what's fascinating is the lawyers of Twitter come in, and the night before that hearing, we had discovered a set of documents. You guys can go see it on winbackfreedom.com. Documents that showed unequivocally that starting in 2018, the United States government, at the intelligence agencies within the US government, in collusion with CISA, which Trump, by the way, set up, had created an infrastructure to censor every American, launder censorship. They literally created private VIP portals into Twitter, into Facebook. So and specifically in the document, we found it says that if you criticize a government official, even if you allege that they could be doing election corruption, the government could report you through their special portal to Twitter. Now think about why the First Amendment of the United States was set up. The highest protection of the First Amendment was protecting political speech. If this occurred in any other country, we'd say, oh my God, the Russians are crazy. They stop, opposition candidates. And that's what they did here. But we did this long before what Tucker Carlson now talks about. Tucker Carlson knew about our case on October 30th, 2020. He did nothing because he's a scumbag. Tucker Carlson, like all these guys, watch which way the wind blows. They don't tell the reality, the truth at the right time. They wait when it's opportune to tell it. And it was our campaign which really started figuring out how the weighted race feature occurs on these machines, long before Trump. By the time it came to Trump, the Trump campaign never really wanted to really address the foundational issues. They made $500 million using our data. Okay? So why am I sharing this with you? Well, you will find out there are real issues that we have to deal with that go beyond left and right. But the left will always take any real issue and make it some fake issue and come up with a fake solution. And the right does the same thing. So both wings of the establishment never solve the real problems. And then there comes a point in time, sometimes it takes people 20 years, 50 years on their deathbed. They say, shit, why did I follow the Democrats? Why did I follow the Republicans? My life's been a waste. And that's what our movement wants to avoid. Our movement wants to awaken people to realize that you have to start asking the right questions. Oh, what do you think is going to happen in 2022? Who should I vote for? What about Mike Lindell? What about Donald Trump? These are all very stupid questions. And I don't mean to be arrogant here. The question is, what are you going to do? The question is, particularly, we have a lot of people from all over the world here. But I'll tell you this, my parents left India to come to America because of the Bill of Rights. The American working class has relatively more rights than any other working class on the planet. All right? And those are the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, so on. No other working class has those Bill of Rights. And so it becomes in many ways more important that the American working class exercise these rights in a powerful way for all other working people all over the planet. I'm sorry, the British working class really has no First Amendment. The British never even accepted a constitution. They don't have the First Amendment. The Indian working class and the Chinese working class are basically slaves, okay? The American working class is the only working class on the planet that has those Bill of Rights. And those rights don't just stay there forever. They're plastic. They can easily evaporate. And what has occurred over the last, particularly with digital technology, is 3 major companies control those rights right now. And it's consolidated. Now, when this guy, Elon Musk, says, oh, I'm going to buy Twitter, doesn't mean jack shit. if he doesn't understand the fact that the government launders censorship to big tech, and they have an actual backdoor, which our lawsuit discovered. Okay? Now it gets a little more interesting. 2 years later, this guy, Alex Berenson, gets put back on Twitter because he's talking about vaccines. So they'll let people like that back on Twitter. In fact, the judge, in our lawsuit, the judge wanted to put me back on Twitter, but it would have been a landmark case, but he wanted me to drop all the claims against the government. That was a compromise. I wouldn't do that. I wasn't willing to compromise. And the judge then got me a lawyer to help me, even though I'd done the case myself, and the lawyer wanted me to drop those claims. We fired the lawyer, then the judge got upset at us. They wanted us to strike a deal. The bottom line is this, that our movement is the only movement on the planet that understands the foundational issues of how to build a movement. And we don't want people to waste their time and make mistakes. So when you see all the analysis we do, the videos many of you get attracted by, the depth of the understanding we do, it doesn't just come out of thin air, it comes from the knowledge of systems. And you can write this down, it's called the science of systems. The science of systems. The elites study and know the science of systems. I learned it from the engineering side and I advanced it and I made a curriculum out of it because I wanted to make sure working people like you and all the people that I grew up with had this knowledge, because it is the Excalibur. The elites have this knowledge, and that is why you have to ask yourself, they're outnumbered, but why do they rule us? Ask that question. It's because they're better organized. It's not we're outnumbered, they are better organized. And they are better organized because they understand political theory, they understand system science. And guys like me, we're supposed to sell you out, sell the people that I came out. All the degrees I got from MIT were intended to take me and put me on a path to be an advisor to the elites. I chose not to do that. So to me, this is deeply personal because I came from the caste system in India. And what I want to offer everyone here is to ask you to start respecting yourselves and recognizing that this knowledge that we've organized was not intended to be shared, but for everyday people. This knowledge was created, and I organized it in many ways a betrayal to the elites. And it is time that all of you seize the day, learn this knowledge. Number one, the education. Now this knowledge I'm talking about is 9 scientific principles, laws that occur in every aspect of nature. And you can apply those laws to understand your body as a system. In fact, we have a tool so you can get beyond all these diets, etc. You can also apply to understand what's going on in Ukraine and Russia. You can, if people had applied it as we did, more people have understood what the pandemic was about. But it is these principles that people need to learn. It is these principles the elites learn, and they use it to subjugate, enslave all of us. But in 2022, when you look at what's going on globally, the world has become a very small world. It has become highly interconnected, and power is, in fact, more consolidated than ever before in human history. You know, when the internet, when new technologies come, people have these illusions. They said, oh, the technology's here, it's gonna, the technology is gonna help me, right? When the printing press came, people said, oh my God, I can be a printer. Everyone can be a printer. We're gonna have more freedom, right? When the Gutenberg printing press came. By the way, the Chinese actually invented the printing press before Gutenberg did. But anyway, but what actually happened? 4 major publishing companies control, if you're an author, if you want to write a book, a newspaper, 4 major conglomerates control all the publishing in the world. So when the internet came, we all had, oh, new technology. We're all going to be able to build our own websites, get the news out. Well, same thing occurred. Google, Twitter, Facebook, all consolidated power like never before. But the opportunity that we have is that there is more of us. And the opportunity that we have is if we understand the science of systems, we can start looking beyond left and right. We can start looking beyond desperation. We can start looking beyond complacency and thinking, I'm just going to go live in Vermont and, meditate under a tree, and that's a solution. The future for us is each one of you understanding these principles. And that's one of the reasons Truth, Freedom, and Health exists, the education. The second thing is we want people to recognize there are a lot of great people out there. You don't have to say, oh, I'm the only one and the world sucks. everyone's wearing 20 masks and people, I feel desperate. You don't need to. There were a lot on this call and others. We had 58 people today. We had about 40, 50 people on this morning, and we have close to 250 million people who know about our movement. We have 360,000 people globally, and no one funded us but you. This movement is truly bottoms up. We're not like Robert Kennedy begging to other people, talking a good game, on one day saying he's against vaccines, and the next day he has a party, is at home in Malibu, and everyone's got to be vaccinated. Okay? He's a bullshitter. We're not like Bernie Sanders, who talks about working people, meanwhile he bows down to Hillary Clinton, because those people are all part of the racket. The only way truth, freedom, and health is going to emerge is from you and bottoms up. Now, a movement like ours should have been built about 70 years ago. It wasn't. So we have some catching up to do. This is not going to happen overnight. We live in a celebrity culture thinking, oh, what's a quick way? Oh my God, we got to vote for somebody. People get all urgent. No, frankly, we got some work to do. And the work begins with you understanding the science of systems. Without that, you're disarmed. Number two, it requires you then to absorb this knowledge and walk the walk. So shortly, the teams here, we have communities that we're building in Europe, Middle East, and Africa, in the United States, North America, South America, all over the world. And those communities peel off, they'll do it shortly, and they'll come back. But our communities are learning how to get on the ground and educate other people. We walk the walk, okay? So John, do you want people to go off to their groups now, and then I'll continue? Okay. And so John, will you be here with me, or I'll continue the meeting? Okay. All right. So I'll continue. So let me begin with this. We have Suresh, you're going to peel off too, or are you going to stay?
Yeah,
Suresh,
I'm gonna peel off.
okay. So those people in those groups will come back. But anyway, what I wanted to do was, Bob, you're going to go too, right? Smith, to your Massachusetts meeting? Okay. So let me introduce some people. We have it looks like we have a ton of new people. And by the way, this meeting is for absolutely new people, and we want to welcome you. We have veterans who've taken the course, but they've been sort of not fully involved. And those veterans who are here, please put your email here if you want to join one of the Truth, Freedom, and Health community groups like Jewel or Jason. I think you have a group, right? You'll be going over to. But let's introduce some new people. Let's start with Anthony Safos. Anthony, you look like a new guy. Where are you from, Anthony?
I'm from, I was born and raised in Queens, New York, but I live here in Adelaide, Australia with my wife for the last, since '94. So I found your movement and I found it very fascinating, and I connect with it very well because I know the truth and the health and the freedom that we have been all denied through this government. But it's hard for me to zoom in because I live far away and different times.
Where do you live right now?
Adelaide, Australia.
Oh, you're not. Oh, Adelaide. Okay, Australia. Yeah. By the way, Anthony, we have a lot of people in Australia and New Zealand. I don't know if you know this. We have a whole group there in New Zealand, Australia. So I want to encourage you to take the course. But Suresh, who's here, he leads the India Asia Pacific team. Okay, we have a guy who's out in the middle of Samoa who signed up, but we have people all over that Asia Pacific region. It's a very, very big area for the movement. So I want to encourage you to connect with those people.
Could you please send me a link through my email?
Yeah. What you do is in the chat, Anthony, right in the chat at the bottom, please put your email address and where you are, and I'll connect you up to those people. Okay.
Okay.
Do you see that? It's in the chat right below.
Okay, I'll put it there.
Okay, great. Excellent. Well, great to have you, Anthony, but I want to connect you. Misty Myers, how are you? Misty, would you like to say hello and where you're from?
Yes, hi. Hi, I am from Michigan. I live in the Thumb. born in Detroit, but we got out of the city, never going back. Yeah, I'm a homeschooling mom. I have 3 kids, and when we can work it into our budget, I intend to purchase and take your course and also teach it to my children and any of my friends that would be interested as well. We just haven't gotten to it yet, but I love what you do.
Yeah, Misty, one of the things we've done is, when we look at the entire program, it's a course. We have software tools, we have textbooks, we have special lectures. It's about 12 different parts. When we try to give it away for free, no one valued it. And, it's worth tens of thousands of dollars. So we said $100, right? But when you take the course and you pass it for a year, you can then give it to any child you want at no cost. So we wanted to, because we have to put some value on it. Okay, there's some value exchange, but when you pass the course, you get a certification. You can, I gave it, I think I mentioned to some people when I went to India, I gave it to around 1,500 village kids. So you can give it to as many kids as you want. And when the children log in, they have a children's version and they can learn. Okay. So please.
That's adorable.
Yeah. So we've had about, and so when you pass the course, you can click a link and it will literally send to the parents a gift card. And then the parents can then give it to their child. Okay. Because we want to get the parents' approval for any child between the age of 13 through 18. My mentor at MIT many years ago, he felt that system science should be taught to kids at the kindergarten level because it teaches them how to, build a lemonade stand versus just learn reading, writing, and arithmetic, right? So.
Yeah, there's many conventional things that we basically threw out the window. Remembering my own education and realizing, I hate to say it, how useless most of it was all the way through high school. And I just knew that I needed something better for my kids to help them, be part of the change in the next generation. And I believe that your curriculum is going to be a part of that, definitely. And I wish I would have found it sooner, but better late than never.
Yeah, so put your email address, and it'll come to the chat right to me because I want to hook you up with Heather. She's also a homeschooling mom. She's an educator. One of the things our movement's doing is after you go through the course, we've also created solutions. So one of the solutions we have is a course I built called the 7 Secrets of Innovation. The idea is to inspire young kids, for that matter, anyone, to be innovators. I talk about the invention of email because it occurred before I came to MIT. TV was invented by a 14-year-old boy. Many great inventions actually took place outside of the military industrial academic complex. So that's why people got so annoyed when the facts about the invention of email came out, because I did it before I came to MIT. And Philo Farnsworth created TV on a small farm before Stanford and RCA stole it from him. So we've been all brainwashed to think you have to go to MIT or Silicon Valley and then you get anointed as a great, or you can have to be a dropout out of Harvard. So that course is really important because we want to teach people what are the real elements of where innovation comes from. So thanks, Misty. Very nice to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we just drove through Michigan a couple of weeks ago. Let's go to Jason Jeffries. Jason, how are you? And where are you from, Jason? And how'd you come across us?
I'm good, thanks. I'm from Alberta, Canada. And I think I came across you on YouTube back just right when the pandemic was kind of starting. I think I started hearing some of your videos about that, and I've just been following you ever since. And then just recently, I joined the Warrior Scholar.
Oh, excellent. Okay. Have you started taking the course, Jason? I know if you've signed up. Did you start the program on Monday?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Yeah, it's great. It's like simple, but it's also
simple, but it's deep.
Yeah.
You have to listen. We've had people go through that course 40 times. Okay. There's a lot of subtlety there. It took me years to connect all the dots, and I'll share with people with the curriculum, but it's good to have you, Jason. We have a lot of people in Canada. Please give again your email and your name here so I can connect you up with either Crystal or Heather, because there's these communities that you should be a part of. But good to have you. Let's go over to Deanne Hampton. Hi, Deanne. How are you? You have to unmute yourself, Deanne.
Hello.
Hi, how are you? Where are you from?
I am actually in Tulsa, Oklahoma. My family and I moved from Huntington Beach, California to Tulsa, Oklahoma. in the
That's a big
70s.
move.
Yeah, so it was a big move. My sisters never forgave our parents because they were teenagers when we moved here, and that they never adjusted.
I'll move where, to California or to Oklahoma?
To Oklahoma
I
from
see.
California.
I see.
Yeah, I raised twins that turned out to be on the spectrum, and my main issue was their health. It wasn't the fact that they were on the spectrum; it was the fact that all of the comorbidities that are involved with it. So, after my son ended up in kidney failure at 25, I started researching, and the research was coming fast and hot and heavy. So I ended up writing a book in 2020, and am in the process of getting that published now.
Oh, what's the book about? About your journey with your
Yeah,
children?
it's about the journey and about all of the research that I've done, and your name is mentioned in there because I was very impressed with your research on resilience.
Yeah, we have a, by the way, October 29th is Saturday. In 2019, before all this nonsense started, we ran a conference called the First International Vaccine Safety and Immune Health Conference. And we educated people on the real science of the immune system. I think about 900 people showed up, and 600 people came to our building. About another, I think, 500 people are online. So we're doing that again, because we find out we were so far ahead of the curve, back in 2019, 2020, but still that knowledge is still classic understanding. So we're going to be doing that again. Suresh, maybe I think I can bring it up here. So I should remind everyone, but if you go to, if you guys go to vashiva.com, we bring it up here. If you go here, you will see we put it as we're doing it as tickets over here, but I'll show you what it is. I think it's in the shop here. Where is it? If you go to the shop area here, under the tickets area, we did this. We're following the same model we did. We should have done this earlier, but we've been so busy organizing the movement. But it's called the Second International Conference on Vaccine Safety and Immune Health. It's going to be this Saturday. It's going to literally be a deep course. We're going to teach people again the modern science of the immune system. We're going to teach them what is systems biology. We're going to update people on the latest, all the research that's been done since 2020 on the vaccine safety papers. And then we're going to do something very practical, teach people what we did again before. Once you understand the immune system, what are the practical things people can do to boost their immune system? And you should invite all the doctors, because 99% of doctors know nothing about the immune system. When I, several years ago when I was running for office, before I went into this hall, there was a Harvard Medical School doctor outside. And someone said, "Oh, Dr. Shiva speaking. He's going to speak on vaccines." He goes, "Oh, are you against vaccines?" I go, "What do you know about the immune system?" He goes, "Well, I'm the head of the department at Harvard, blah, blah." I go, "That doesn't mean you know shit about the immune system." I said, "What do you actually know?" This guy got so upset that his ego was so bruised, right? So the bottom line is that the medical doctors, in the 4 years they go through training, what they learn is to be an asshole and build these huge egos. That's what they really learn. They do not fundamentally learn any nutrition. They don't really learn the body as a system. They don't. When you go look at the history of Western medicine, the way it developed, it was designed to destroy indigenous systems of medicine. It was designed to not see the things as a whole. In the course, there's a paper that I wrote, which all of you get access to. It actually goes and explains that the history of Western medicine, it's great after you get a disease. After you get your hand blown off, God forbid, or something happens. It was designed for crisis care, which came out of wartime medicine. It does not understand the body as a system. It wasn't intended for that. It's not bad or good. It's just what it is. It doesn't mean if you get in a horrible car accident, you suddenly start eating herbs. No, you should use Western medicine. But it doesn't mean you take the sledgehammer to the nail problem for day-to-day stuff. So it's very important. So we want to invite all of you to invite other medical doctors to this. They need to get educated because they don't understand the immune system. I've spent years, I'm considered one of the leading scientists. You can tell them that I was invited to give the NSF talk. So we have an unfair advantage because we actually have real science here, okay? And we can educate them. So that's on October 29th. It's going to be, we're going to host it physically, but people can also come in on Zoom. But very nice having you, Deanne. Let me know when your book comes out, okay?
I will. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Let's go to Sharon Sibley. Hi, Sharon. How are you? Where are you out of?
Hey, I'm out of Orlando, Florida.
Oh, okay. I'm supposed to go down to Florida for, I think, this Saturday to give a talk at one of these science events on some rare diseases, but that's down in Miami. But what do you do, Sharon?
I'm a nurse practitioner.
Oh, okay, great.
So that has got me really striked up with this whole vaccine thing, because I definitely was not aware of all the vaccine injuries and all the things, because we're not taught all that stuff, like you said.
Mhm.
And this was 2020 was very eye-opening. I tell a lot of people that 2020 gave me 2020 vision on a lot of things. So
well, when you look at by the way, nurses, in my view, are the ones who do all the work, who actually deliver health in the current healthcare environment. The doctors actually don't touch or see the patients that much anymore. So I have a lot of respect for people actually interacting with the patient. But one of the things, Sharon, that the science that we teach, there's a curricula, or there's a tool that we've created called Your Body, Your System. You see, there is an ancient system of medicine in India called Ayurveda and Siddha. You may have heard of it. It's existed for nearly 10,000 years, okay? Now, in that system of medicine, the practitioner will look at you, your face. They actually look at you. You know, they're not looking at a computer. They actually look at you.
I was just going to say that, not the computer.
Right. They're not typing in everything to make sure they get billed and they put in the right codes. They're actually looking at you. And they look at you different ways. They can look at your face. They read your pulse. They can look at your tongue. They can look at your urine. They can look at your eyes. But these are all different diagnostic forms in these traditional systems of medicine. What they're looking for in those systems of medicine is to understand what kind of system you are. Okay? Recognizing that everyone is a unique system. And they have a framework to do that. They use 3 concepts called Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And I'm not going to get, our course teaches you what these are. So now the Indian practitioners say, oh, Sharon is a Vata, Pitta. Deanne is a Kapha. Jason is a Kapha, Pitta. So essentially it's a 3-dimensional way to characterize. Now, if you ask the traditional Indian practitioners, hey, what is Vata, Pitta, Kapha? They can't explain it. Deepak Chopra, when he brought Ayurveda here, tried to bring it here, but he couldn't explain it. So then he tried to be a guru and talk very slowly and try to tell, all sorts of other stuff, right? But when I finished my PhD, when I went back to India, I did it Fulbright for about 2 years. And I found out that the ancient systems of Indian medicine, there's about 9 principles, match 1-to-1, not with Western medicine, but with engineering principles that you learn when you build an airplane or when you build a bridge. They're called control systems principles. So the ancients in India had realized that the body was in fact a system, no different than an airplane. The ankle bone's connected to the foot bone, and you needed a very different language. So they didn't look at the body at the level of genes and proteins and messenger RNA, right, or organs. They had a different language. And the problem is those traditional systems of medicine that people practice them weren't able to convey it. They said earth, fire, water, and they've got people looking at these guys, just making up stuff. So I was able to uncover that, and that's where the curriculum came. So the first course I built that I taught at MIT was called Systems Health. And 200 people would show up to this course at a lecture series. We had, on the one hand, nurses, MDs, PhDs, your traditional Western medicine on one side of the room. The other side of the room were chiropractors, naturopaths, those kind of people. And within an hour, these people would be looking at each other very angry and cross-eyed. What are these kooks doing here? What are these arrogant people doing here? Whichever side you were on. But over that 1 hour, I was able to teach the Western trained people, hey, the body is actually a system. Here, the language, you can look at it. And they would say, oh, wow. And the Eastern trained people would realize, oh, this is a language we needed to communicate what we were experiencing. That became the foundations of systems health. Healthcare practitioners like you should take the course, because you can actually retrain yourself, and it'll expand your understanding of system science. Now, those same principles can actually be used to understand not only your body as a system, but what's going on in Ukraine. And it's the same principles. The universe runs on these foundational principles. So I can teach that now in 30 minutes. That piece where even the Indian systems, you have to go for 8 years and you have to bow down to a guru, and they even in the Indian systems of medicine become in some ways their own ego trip. Okay, they layered in so much quote unquote spirituality, no one even knows what they're talking about, right? Bowing, doing this, and varying with Buddha. So we've democratized all that. But we need to take a systems approach to understanding the body. We need to take a systems approach to understanding everything around us.
Right.
And that's the only way out of this. Otherwise, we'll be in the left camp or the right camp, the pro camp and the anti camp. But when it comes to fundamentally the issue of vaccines, we've always said it's not pro-vax or anti-vax.
Right.
It's the right medicine for the right person at the right time. And it's a very different view. It's recognizing that the body is the immune system is a very complex system. And vaccines were actually built based on this two-body model of the immune system. So anyway, I look forward to having you. We've had lots of nurses, lots of nurse practitioners join the movement. They learn a lot, but it's people like you and others, and everyone on this call this goes to, where we are as a movement, as a system of understanding, is we need to more people to get educated, and we need more people to become educators. Our model is learn, teach, and serve. Learn, teach, and serve. So some people learn and they'll say, Dr. Shiva, thank you so much. And then they disappear. We go, wait a minute, that's parasitic. You got to now teach other people. So it's not like learning and moving on. It's learning and educating others. So I'm very, very glad to have you. If you, so take the course, but put your email and I'll have either Heather or Crystal or Suresh touch base with you. Nice to have you. Sharon. Yep.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Yep. Let's go over to Trish Hansel. Trish, where are you from? Hi, Trish, you have to unmute yourself. A little button will say unmute. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Hey, I'm from the thumb of Michigan as well. Hi, Misty. We'll have to connect. Yeah, I've been following you for quite a while, and probably even heard about the whole mass, when you were running for senator. So I've been following along quite a bit. I don't really know what to say.
Michigan? What do you do out in Michigan, Trish?
Right now, I'm doing nothing. I'm just digging deep and probably going to do some research. I was for 24 years working as a massage craniosacral therapist, mostly in a chiropractic setting.
That's excellent.
And finding that world was even off. A lot of doctors do not know any longer the original chiropractic techniques. And that seems to be it just frustrated me.
Yeah.
And I got a little burned out, so I stepped away. From it, and so I'm just kind of rediscovering what it is. Probably something educational that I'd like to go towards.
Yeah, it's interesting you say this. What's happened is, in the Western world of medicine, right, there's some profound discoveries that were made, surgeries, microsurgery, all this stuff. You can't discount that, okay? And it has a certain use. In the Eastern world, there are also some profound discoveries. But each one of those worlds, there are people who basically destroy those worlds too. So in the Eastern world, as I was just mentioning to Sharon, many of the Eastern systems of medicine became shrouded with all this woo-woo stuff and spirituality and bowing to the guru, and it degenerated, into some spirituality, people talking like stuff that no one can really understand, but it sounded good, right?
Yeah.
It must be good if the Beatles follow a guru with a long beard, right? So that kind of shit took place. And in the Western side, because of the motivation for capital and money, the science has been compromised. What's really happened on the West is that starting in 1970, when the NIH when massive amounts of funding got consolidated in two institutions, the NSF and the NIH, academia actually degenerated. People used to go to academia to really do great research, to have free speech. And what's essentially happened is most academics are prostitutes right now. It's pay to play. It is the oldest profession now in the world. So you see, academia has been destroyed in every. There is no. You take climate science. You saw the stuff in Alzheimer's. This guy 16 years ago made totally bogus data, and for the last 16 years, people have been following, this concept, one singular concept of plaque as a source. And I know some of these guys, they're all bullshitters. So the academic world has been compromised. So we live in a world now, Trish, that if you try to go into science and do good, you can't do it without recognizing you have to understand politics. If you try to just take care of your health, you have to take care of politics. That's why we have truth, freedom, and health. So what we try to impress on people is, by the way, freedom, truth, and health are related to those three concepts: transport, conversion, storage, vata, pitta, kapha. It's the same system. So it turns out is, if you're a human being today in any profession, you don't have, if you really want to be good even at your profession, as a doctor, you have to get political. If you want to be a good scientist, you can't just be a nerd, you have to get political. And what's happened is that the people who are pursuing health, let's say they're trying to be the yoga Nazis and eat right and blah, blah, blah. Well, they're not going to get, but they discount the people fighting for freedom, the First Amendment, Second Amendment. The people in the First Amendment, Second Amendment fight, they pretty much categorize themselves as rednecks, and they don't try to be healthy or understand science. And the people who are the scientists and the nerds, they don't care about the First Amendment or Second Amendment, and many of them are unhealthy. So our view is that truth, freedom, and health have all got to come together. Meaning, if you don't fight for freedom, you're not going to be able to practice real science. And science is a way to get to truth. And if you can't do real science and get to truth, and you can't have freedom, you destroy people's health. And that's what the last 2 years were about. We saw the destruction of people's health because censorship took place and science was compromised and health became compromised. And when you don't have health, you don't have the strength, the physical strength to fight, the mental wherewithal to articulate and fight, etc. So truth, freedom, you cannot just pursue any one of these independently. They have to be pursued together. So I'm glad you're here, Trish, and given you have time, I suggest you take the course. But we have a lot of, Crystal's not here, but she's in the Midwest. We have a whole set of people in the Midwest. We just drove through the Midwest, as I told Misty. We have a lot of great people out there who support our movement, know us from all the election stuff we did. But we have a lot of connections that the community that you can get connected with. But very nice to have you. Let's go over to Edward Trom. Edward, how are you?
I'm fabulous. Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Great. Tell us about yourself. Where are you from? And what do you do?
I am in Tempe, Arizona. My wife and I are chiropractors here for about 25 years. I was also a firefighter with the city of Phoenix. I retired about 1.5 years ago as a ladder engineer. And we are just selling our properties here and moving to a very small town well east of the valley and into the mountains a little bit. So we're starting a new practice out there, and I'm studying a lot of desert medicinal herbs and how to make tinctures and salves and things. I have a mentor out who lives out deep, inaccessible desert for 40 years on his own little ranchette. 80-year-old man, just a real badass. But then I've always wanted to study medicinal botany, although my career as a chiropractor was more focused on, I'm going to say applied kinesiology, but I really didn't go down that rabbit hole. It was mostly soft tissue work. And I studied a lot of the pathomechanics of sick muscle and then why certain therapies seemed to be more effective than others. And I was interested in what Trish said about the classical old-time chiropractic stuff has been gone, and that's largely true. I find it's been mercantilized and monetized. Really, what they teach at a lot of seminars is patient visit averages and volume and marketing and such. And I was fortunate to be a fireman that I could spend my time at the fire station and often some at home where I just studied soft tissue science, and I hooked up with the Steccos in Italy, Luigi Stecco and his daughter Carla Stecco and his son Antonio Stecco, and they have really made enormous contributions to the study and science of fascial research and the architecture of fascia and the mechanics, lubrication of fascia. So I studied with them for about 10 years, and I taught for them in China, a little bit in Mexico, and a little bit in the United States. So I taught a lot of the anatomy and physiology of fascia, biomechanics, pathophysiology, and therapeutics, manual medicine therapeutics. So it was a blast. It's very fun. It's right up my alley, and I like that classic hands-on chiropractic thing from the old days, back when Didi just was basically kind of shooting by the seat of his pants, going by feel and healing with magnets and such. But that's my nutshell history. I was also a Peace Corps volunteer back in 1990 to 92 in the Dominican Republic, and I had the good fortune to be exposed and work with some acupuncture medical missionaries that would travel the world as just Aristotelian. I mean, they just had a little side bag, and people flew them to Argentina or the Dominican Republic, and they put them up in homes, and they would just do acupuncture on people, and it's beautiful, real beautiful service.
Well, one of the things, Edward, is that there, in one of the, I don't think it's in the core curriculum, is that there's, you talked about the fascia. By the way, to everyone listening, when you take a systems approach, I think the traditional chiropractors looked at the body as a system. People are always taught in medicine that the skin is the biggest organ, right? If you ask them what's the biggest organ, they say the skin. Fascia. It's the fascia that's the biggest organ. So what is the fascia? If you ever cut chicken, you know that sort of filmy stuff that surrounds the meat. If you took away all the organs in your body and all the bones, you'd find this little film that surrounds everything. It's called the fascia.
That's exactly what I tell my patients.
Okay, so about 15 years ago, people discovered, in fact, the biological engineers know this, that the fascia is actually made of piezoelectric material. It's a crystal, actually. So we're actually encased in a very real way in a crystalline body. And in fact, if you go down to the individual cell, when I started my PhD work, if you take one cell in your body, we have about 6 trillion cells. You know, a cell isn't flat, you know, the picture that you see, it's actually has structure. At the cellular level is called the cytoskeleton. And the cytoskeleton is literally connected to fascia. So there's an emerging, so I'm finishing a book, which I got, I had a book deal with Harper's, and when I got involved in politics, I had to put it on hold, but it's really, the book is called The Connection. It's going to come up, but it really gives a new architecture of the body involving the fascia, a number of other parts of our body that actually exist that for some reason medical science forgets about. And it evokes some very powerful ideas that we start looking at the body in many ways as a mechanical system. It's a very simple system. And the movements of the fascia serve as a transducer to electrical systems. Okay, this is why if you've ever had Rolfing done, you will actually feel electricity pulse through your body. And we've been taught for far too long that the signaling in our body is done through electrical signals. But there's an emerging body of data saying that everything in the body is actually mechanical. You know, if you read the Bible says, or the Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound, that's the word, the sound actually precedes light. Meaning, what is sound? Sound is mechanical motion. So the piezoelectric crystal of the fascia actually, when you press it, when a practitioner does it, the fascia converts that to electrical signals. And the fascia at one point can communicate to another point. This starts explaining why the ankle bone's connected to the foot bone, why something going on your kidney may affect your ear, why something going on your liver may be affecting in your eyes. You see that Western medicine just focuses on this one part. It doesn't understand the interconnections. for many years they thought acupuncture was affecting nerve signals, but it actually, people are recognizing when the acupuncture sticks in the needle and it twists it, they're actually affecting the fascial plane. So anyway, we'll probably do a whole thing on this, but Edward, it's good to have you. But
can I make a quick comment with regards to that? As you know, with regards to the piezoelectric effect of crystalline structure, I had great conversations with the doctors of acupuncture in China. They would ask me from my Western perspective, what was qi? And I would say that's a pretty big rabbit hole, but I would tell them that we know that our architecture is remove all the parenchyma and all the functional cells, and you're left with a collagenous body in everything, bone, around the spleen, everywhere. And when we move, it deforms that protein and creates these electronic grids constantly with every motion. And that I took that was our body's mechanism for creating this electromagnetic field around ourselves. And the more we moved, especially with correct movement, it would harmonize throughout our bodies, and all that interconnectedness the communication mechanisms were enhanced. So when I talked about martial arts, bending and stretching and certain motions, when you stiffen up your arm for a strike, you do so in a spiral manner, and that fascia has spiral structure, macro structures as well.
Right.
And it stiffens up like a steel bar, and you can poke through a coconut, with the correct technique and training. But it was a fabulous discussion with these doctors who were really intrigued by that entire concept. And it's a huge rabbit hole, but it's quite fun.
Well, very nice having you, Edward. So I think the big takeaway is, one of the things is we have created these principles. It's in there in the course. It's all there. Some people get it, but it's very, very important. People need to recognize that one of the preeminent things people need to do is understand the principles of how the body functions and learn how to take care of our own bodies, And unfortunately, it's an experimental thing. You have to try a lot of things. You have to take things into, you learn, but it's an activity everyone has to do for their own advancement. Let's go over to Nick Riviera. Hey, Nick, where are you from? You have to unmute yourself.
From Connecticut.
Over the chat. Yep.
I'm from Connecticut.
Oh, very nice to have you.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much. And let me just see here. I'm from Connecticut in New Haven County. Born and raised here in Connecticut, and I went to college in Connecticut as well, in New London. So just like born and raised here, where I learned about the truth, freedom, and health movement, through Crystal, a friend of mine. We were involved in so we were involved in a presidential campaign volunteering in 2020, and it was for Andrew Yang.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, got it.
Yes, yeah. So we met that way. And then when everything happened, in 2020, in March, 2020, we reconnected, and we just started thinking about the narrative and asking questions, so that eventually did lead her and then led me, to the Truth, Freedom, and Health movement. So I'm really happy to be here. I'm going to be doing comments on Facebook and getting involved. And also doing the training too.
So what Nick is talking about, he's signed up as a warrior. So taking the course is one part. The other thing is joining the community. And then our leaders actually, they're more educators, catalyze you to actually get involved. So one of the things people can do is, we have a huge social media following. People can comment. People can hand out cards to educate other people. People can write articles. We've launched one of our own news sites. People can also teach the course, right? So Nick, you can actually teach the course, because when you teach, you actually learn. So we have like about 5 practical activities everyone can do. Shortly, we're actually launching the solutions that people can actually, some people say, hey, look, I want to do this full time. So we're actually creating educational tools that people can teach and actually do it in a sustainable way. So that's something we're also rolling out. So it's great to have you, Nick. I'm glad you and Crystal connected.
He also, Dr. Shiva, he did make calls for your campaign though. So
Oh, really? Okay, awesome.
he knows
Great.
Dr. New.
Let's go over to Chad Estel. Hi, Chad. Where are you from? Whoa, your voice sounds like a chipmunk. Nope, it's very chipmunky.
Can you rejoin, Chad?
Chad, you may have to go out and come back in. Go out and come back in, Chad. We'll wait for you. Yep. Thanks. Let's go to Tracy Peters. Tracy Peters. Hi, Tracy. How are you?
Good.
Good. Where are you from? And tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came across us.
I'm from Kansas, and I came across you guys. I was kind of already thinking this way from knowing about the left and the right and all of the garbage in between. So I actually never. I was raised in a different background. You guys probably heard of it, Mennonite background.
Yeah.
So anyway, didn't really vote. The first time I ever voted was in 2016, and I already had a sinking sensation that our elections were already quite rigged. So, but anyway, I don't have anything fantastic in my background. I've tried a few things. I've tried marketing, but mostly I've just a blue collar worker. Done about 15 years doing concrete work, and then after that I morphed into doing working at a flour mill. So
now, where are you at in Kansas?
Yes,
I'd say okay.
And yeah, just mostly been in the flour industry. Rubbed shoulders with a lot of guys over in McPherson area. Working alongside them, you'd hear people would just be generally talking about they were just tired of all of it too, and and it's like, well, didn't know really how to direct the conversation to thinking outside the box, because that's really what you got to do, is pull yourself out of the box, take a different view. But I have taken the course, and I started reading your book, System Revolution, I believe, or not. And yeah, it's really good.
Well, one of the things we're going to do, Tracy, starting next week on Tuesdays, we're going to have, I've had others teaching the course, and we've made it self-paced so people can come in. Before, I used to do every lecture. It was quite a lot of work, but I still want to be involved. So starting next Wednesday, and this is for everyone, I will be doing what's called an Ask Me Anything, and people can take the course materials, and we'll have probably 1 to 2 hour session every Wednesday so people can learn more. The stuff in the course is deep stuff, because we're literally taking 20, 30 years of engineering systems knowledge. So you're getting like an MIT level course. Then you're integrating with Eastern and Western medicine, and then you're learning political theory, okay? So just to sort of, since you brought up the course, let me go over here and just give people, I'm using someone else's machine so I have to navigate. So if you guys can see this, so when you go to Truth, Freedom, and Health, and this is where you go, and we have a picture here. This really represents the 12 elements of, it's really not, it's the course is one part, but it's really a system. And as I say here, is that Truth, Freedom, and Health itself is a system. It's a set of many, many interconnected parts: education, advanced education, community building, and technology. And what is the goal of this system? It's to make you street smart. Think beyond left and right. Think beyond pro and anti. But the goal is that you improve your body, you understand relationships, etc. And we have a huge base that's built purely bottoms up. We didn't take internet ads. We didn't take Facebook ads. It's just been through the videos we've done with very simple equipment, but always taking a systems approach. And as we have some of these stories of transformation that we'll play later on, but one of the things that we've done is our movement, our approach actually wins. We're not a bunch of losers here. It was this movement that actually exposed the election stuff at a fundamental level, not the grifter aspect. It was our movement that talked about the realities of what the pandemic really meant. We actually exposed what Robert Kennedy's all about, what we call the not so obvious establishment. And some people don't like to hear that. Oh, he says some good stuff. It's not what you say, it's what you actually do. But the fundamental issue that what we want to open people is that those in power actually know system science. They study this. They know what is a system. They know control systems. They know all of it. But what they give to the masses is to actually make people stupid. So they don't teach people the whole. They actually teach people to look at the parts. That's why the news media exists, to distract people, to illusion, but ultimately to get people so confused they either get desperate, they either get divided into, entertainment, right? The left wing or the right wing, Republicans and Democrats, Labor Party or Tory, or people may say, I'm just going to give up. I'm just going to meditate under a tree. I'm just going to, live somewhere. But the goal of those in power is to get people into one of these 3 or 4 buckets, if you consider left or right. So this is one thing. This diagram itself is a systems diagram, okay? It really gives you an understanding how the forces of power, profit, and control. And the goal here is to recognize people there is an alternative, even though there's tons of information out there. But if you look at it through the lens of seeing the parts, not the whole, there is another alternative. And that alternative is to recognize that information is different than knowledge. Knowledge is seeing the world through the science of systems. So it's not teaching people what to think, but how to think. And this knowledge, those in power learn. So they have a lot of clarity on how to subjugate people. But the goal here is for people to learn this approach. So when people learn this, they become active. They start thinking about how to connect with their neighbors. They want to get on the ground. They don't get depressed. They get innovative. They start realizing that it's not only you individually having your freedoms, but to exercise your freedoms collectively. But it'll require people to let go of the old. It'll challenge people to become their own gurus, to respect themselves. And that is what this is. This is actually a system. So what does that system involve? Well, first of all, it involves I'm going to walk you through this, but as Nick said, this is the course, I mean, we could probably spend 20 years on this course, but the reality is working people, we don't have time to spend 20 years, so the luxury that we've done here is in the first 5 parts, people actually learn what is a system. Everyone uses that word, but you will scientifically, from an engineering perspective, in the first 5 parts, you'll learn not only what is a system, but you'll also learn the 2 kinds of systems in the universe. Open systems, there's 5 principles which govern that. Intelligent systems have 4 additional principles. So you'll actually understand what is an intelligent system from an engineering perspective. And this is really like, 2 years of an MIT course, but these are very short 20-minute little videos that you can do on your own. But every Mondays, we actually have a tutorial where you can sit with people and they'll walk you through each one. But then in part 6 and 7, we actually, once you've understand this from the Western perspective, I share the research that came out of my Fulbright research where people actually understand that the ancient systems of medicine weren't medical systems. They were actually engineering systems. So now those of you who are in the healthcare world, or those of you who want to take care of your body, you will actually understand the foundational principles of how the body works, which are the same as engineering systems. And then finally, we talk about that these same principles manifest themselves in truth, freedom, and health, and how to build why we need self-organizing systems. You see, one of the things that comes out of, it's hard to see in this diagram, but one of the 9 aspects of systems is what's called a disturbance. Disturbances always come in our way. And we learn in politics that the ultimate disturbance that people have to get wise about is what we call the not so obvious establishment. You see, the establishment has gotten so clever, because they understand systems, they actually know, oh, people are going to be organizing. Ooh, you know what? We're going to create Bernie Sanders or AOC. And they will talk the talk, or Donald Trump will say, yeah, lock her up, make America great. They'll get people riled up. But at the end of the day, they will take all that anger and not really empower people to build a bottoms-up movement. Okay, and that's called the disturbance in engineering theory. But you'll understand the same disturbance occurs in political theory. So you're grounded in these very, very powerful concepts that, frankly, again, should be taught, at a kindergarten age. So that's only one part. Okay, and then we give people all the books, the textbooks that Nick was referring to. Okay, and it took about 40 years to write these books in many ways. And then there's a very important book. Those people who are interested in health will actually understand that the science of systems, it's a great paper to read. I don't write a lot of science papers. I don't understand how these academics do it. It takes me a long time to write just one paper because you have to think deeply about this stuff. But you'll actually understand the origin of Western medicine, Eastern medicine, and what is Eastern medicine. So that's number 3 gift. But then it took me 20 years to build a tool that you can actually use to understand your body as a system that integrates engineering theory and Eastern medicine. So you answer a set of questions and you'll figure out in this framework of transport, conversion, storage. And what is transport, conversion, storage? You see, everything in the universe is driven by 3 forces: the forces of movement, motion, as Edward, you talked about motion, the forces of conversion. What is piezoelectricity? You convert mechanical motion to electricity. Digestion is a conversion process. When you put fuel into your car, it moves. That's called the conversion process. The third aspect of every system in the universe is something called structure, storage. I'm in this room here. There's air moving in and out. That's a transport. The heat, the furnace here is converting the, whatever oil or gas into heat. But then there's a structural aspect of this room, right? The thing that contains this. Your body is a skeletal, the structural aspect, okay? Or the bones. So all those 3 things exist in every aspect of nature: transport, conversion, storage. The Indians called it Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Politics, we call it freedom, truth, and health. You see? It's quite profound. So once you get it, you say, wow, you actually can learn the science of everything. Now, what I was able to fortunately unravel in my Fulbright research was that answering a set of questions, we can figure out the levels of transport, conversion, storage in your body, and we can map it in a diagram. And this red dot will move into different spaces. In the Indian system, they called it Vata, Pitta, Kapha. But then your body, everyone's body is at a different set point, and the black dot represents there are disturbances that take place. And you can calculate where you are. Again, if you're in intuition with your body, you don't need a tool like this, but this is sort of a way so people can start thinking about it. And then the tool will actually calculate for you how to bring your body back to your balance. Now, how does it do that? You see, everything in nature itself has a force of transport, conversion, storage. Coffee has a lot of transport, gets you to move. You eat a lot of fatty foods or oil, right? It'll calm you down, right? You eat certain spices, it'll start the conversion process, digestion. Certain yoga exercises are good for calming. Some yoga exercises are good for movement, and some yoga exercises affect digestion. You see, so on. So what you learn is to start thinking beyond left and right, beyond pro and anti, beyond this diet or this diet. You start having to now realize that you can be an alchemist. That, oh, I'm feeling like this. This is where I am. What can I do to go from here to here? And you have 3 gears. Anyway, it's a very powerful model, but that's another tool that we give. And we wondered whether we give, so that's the tool that you get. We also, with Cytosolve, we give people the access to the entire information set that comes out of the Cytosolve Open Science Institute. Then we do special events and lectures. We're doing one, we did one on innovation. We did one on gun violence. We apply systems principles to understand the big topics of the day. We also have created a tool where you can teach your neighbors. Okay, we want you to teach. We do these one-on-ones, and we have a huge community. A lot of the people are on this call, but that's all great. You take care of your health, you're teaching, you're learning, but then we want people to get on the ground, be activists, learn how to look someone else in the eye, hand them a flyer, old school, okay? And then we've created a technology that's similar to Twitter, to Facebook, and YouTube, and it's running on our own data center, independent of big tech. So that's what I mean. It's a system, okay? So you can come at it as a healthcare practitioner, Sharon or Edward or Deanne, right? Wanting to take care of your body. You can come at it as an educator. You can come at it as an activist. It's really for wherever you are, but we recognize you need all these three components, okay? So the homework assigned for everyone is learn the science, truth, freedom, and health. If you're already taking the course, put your email, because we want you to connect you up to one of the communities. Let me continue here. Let's go to John. Do you want to play a video, John? Or should we continue? There's still a lot of people here. I know some. We have Natalia. Natalia, I think you reached out to me. I think you're from Russia, right, Natalia? Can you unmute yourself, Natalia?
Yes. Hello.
Hi, Natalia. Where are you from?
Okay. I'm Russian, and currently I'm on my personal mission in far east of Russia, Khabarovsk city.
Where are you right now?
Right now, I'm in far east of Russia.
Oh,
it's
far east?
Khabarovsk city. It's the city of my birth, and it's my personal mission for Russian trip this year. Well, I joined your system 2020, and I believe I was one of the first while I was living in the Bahamas, spreading out your body system program as an alternative way of self-education, because I'm a wellness master, and I'm also educating part of the integrative and alternative medicine. Well, I was fascinating the way you teach and express and explain the essence of Panchatattva or 5-element system, meridian therapy. And today I was really happy to hear your overview on function of fashion, because this is something that we deal on a daily basis in our training. Although I'm at the stage of my life mission that do not allow me to perform actively as I would like to do, but your lessons and lectures are included into the program that I've been doing. I was committed to one of other training program based on bioenergy resonance therapy and Eastern medicine. That's why I am familiar with the Ayurvedic principles and traditional Chinese medicine.
I see, great.
Also, I was personally purchased those books, Science of Revolution, as a gift to motivate some of my partners and associates in the Bahamas Wellness Association. And well, would like that most of my associates would hear you more often and clearly. But what I could do, I just spread what I'm learning from you. I'm still learning from you quite a bit. I have to say that the clearest understanding of the life force applied through the manual therapy, naturopathic therapy, Siddha, and Ayurveda. Right. It's more clearly the way that you teach. Brief, right. Short, but I set my program as a self-education. Those people who find essence and answers, they join. And then, yes, I'm planning to join your program either in December or January, because I'm planning to spend the winter time due to my mom condition. She is 91-year-old. Okay. And I would like to involve Ayurvedic practitioners, Russians, who reside in Khabarovsk city. And I'm hopefully will join with the small team of my Russian colleagues here, as well as my Bahamian team and my Cuban team.
Great. Thanks, Natalia. Very nice to have you.
So you're very welcome.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What Natalia's talking about is, it's sort of hard to. So if you get the book System and Revolution, there's a chapter in here called Adjusting Inputs to Your System. It's chapter 7. If you were to read one chapter in this book, and you read that one chapter, I think it's about page 72. It's it's about page 70. It's about 14 pages. If you just read, I should probably just print out these 14 pages and give it to everyone. But if you read these 14 pages, you will understand the principles to be your own doctor in many ways, to be your own healer. You know, Hippocrates said that the goal of a human being is to be their own, he who's not his own doctor is a fool. But to Natalia's point, you see, the ancient Indians and Indian medicine had a whole way of looking at the body. And they used a language that even the Indians who practice that don't even know what they're doing. So a lot of people are selling that Ayurveda, Siddha, and they made it into this like woo-woo stuff. Okay, so that's over here. And then over here, you have Western medicine, and over here, you have engineers who have a whole engineering language. The profoundness of what we put together here is that we intersected engineering systems theory with ancient systems of medicine. So in a very short period of time, you can actually understand the principles of how everything operates. And it was my view that if you understood how your body operates as a system, it's not the end goal is to just be a narcissistic human being, just being in great health and forget the world. It was to use these principles of understanding how your body works to understand everything in the universe. So I encourage you to read those pages because you'll actually get the whole thing. How this food will affect this force in your body, how this yoga exercise will affect this force in your body. And it's basically the movement of these three forces: transport, conversion, storage. And that's really the key here. And it's deep, but you understand these forces appear everywhere. But thank you, Natalia. Let's go over to we have Amul Kumar. Amul Kumar. Amul, how are you? Amul, can you unmute yourself? Okay. Amul can't do that. Let's go over to, I want to finish up with a couple things. Oh, okay. Let's go over to Mandalay Kaisi Lucas. Sorry if I didn't say your name right. Hello?
Yeah, but that was very close. Thank you, Dr. Shiva.
Yeah, where are you from?
And leaders, South Africa. I'm in Pretoria.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yes.
And what do you do down there?
And okay, right now I see myself as a nation builder. The fact that I have been a Metro Police officer, I've been a paramedic, also firefighter. And then I have just recently done a course in discipleship. That's for ethical leadership. You know, how Jesus Christ, you know, gave us the leadership and all that. But then, you know, looking at the truth, freedom, and health, this movement I came through Facebook.
I see.
And yes, I'm yet really to take up the course, because I've come to realize really it's long overdue for us to really get the right information, what is really happening. So I'll be putting together the community, especially the young people, making sure that even as I've learned this, I'm able to, you know, get them educated as well and not be enslaved. In fact, I had some few questions that
yeah, by the
I
way,
needed to know.
Just one thing, Mandalay. So we have several people in Africa. If you in the chat put your email and your where you are, because we did a bunch of events in South Africa online. So I want to connect you up. So in the chat, just put your email address, and either Suresh or Crystal will connect you up to our team in Africa. We have but go ahead. What are your questions? But please just don't forget to do that.
In fact, Emily has just sent me that I actually get connected just to know the leaders are there in South Africa. I really love to get to actually many others, and not just in South Africa, but being able to connect with others in Africa as well.
Okay.
I needed to check around to this stem cell, plant stem cells, because I wanted to get the site to solve on how to really get the product, and us understanding also how to make use of the products. and the information also about how we get to, get this propaganda about 3 billion that needs to be exterminated, in Africa and all that. And I knew that it is most probably from your side, you are able to get that information and, to know what is really happening.
So why don't you put your email in and Crystal will follow up with you, okay? If that works. Thanks, Mandalisi. If just put your email in.
Yes, I did send that to Emily.
Okay, well, put it in the chat right now because Crystal works with people in Africa and she'll help you. Okay, thank you.
I sent it to Crystal.
Okay, great. Thanks, Emily. We have Vianney Galvan. Vianney Galvan. Vianney? Can you, oops, I'm sorry. Unmute yourself again. Hi, Vianney, where are you from? Hello?
I'm from Arizona. Can you hear me?
Oh, you're from Arizona. Okay, great.
Yes.
Or very, very nice to have you.
Vianney Galvan, and thank you, sir. Thanks. I'm a full-time student.
Okay.
Right now, I'm trying to get my another associate's in web design. I want to get in your program. I want to learn about the immune system and the things to take. So I'll be taking that course also next.
All right, great. Yeah, put your email address in and
I followed you since. Okay, thank you.
You're very nice to have you. Good. Let's go back to Chad. Chad, how's your voice now? We can't hear you now. All right. Well, Chad, maybe you can text us, and then we can read it out. All right. So what I wanted to let everyone know is that in closing, there is an actual system that we've created. And the system is an educational system. It's a community, as you're noticing here, but it's also a set of technology, okay? And in a very practical way, when you go through this, it's a learn, teach, and serve model. And so before I close, I want a couple of people here who are some of our veterans, just to sort of give you where they came from, their journey, and just very shortly in 1 minute, and then and please feel free, if anyone has a question, just raise your hand. So why don't we go over to, let me go over here to some people. We have a number of people. Let me go over here to Sandy Garifano. Are you there? Sandy is actually an educator. Sandy is an educator. She's in Massachusetts. Sandy, can you say a few words if you're listening? Okay, Sandy's not there. Let's go over to Bob Smith. Bob, can you share your sort of inspiring story? Bob, go ahead.
Sure. So I'm a steel salesman approaching retirement, and I thought I knew a lot of things about the world before I joined the movement a couple of years ago, and I have to say I've learned an awful lot through the movement and from Dr. Shiva, and have just gotten more and more motivated, really just by listening to the news and getting aggravated with the way the establishment elites manipulate us and mess with us, and was frustrated with, okay, what do I do? We sit around, we talk with our friends, and we say, it's too bad we couldn't get organized and fight back. Well, this is it. This is the organization. This is how we fight back. We make a science of it. It's more than emotion and good intentions. We are, as Dr. Shiva said, we're winning. We have successes, and we're going to have a lot more. So we're all here for the same reason, because we're motivated and we think the world needs fixing, and we think we can do it. So welcome to the new people, and we could use your help.
Thanks, Bob. Let's go over to Suresh. Are you here? Suresh is not there. Let's go over to, go ahead, Suresh.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Suresh. I was born and brought up in India. I work here in Buffalo, New York now. 2 years ago, I came across Dr. Shiva when the madness was occurring. It did not make sense what was going on. So, and I found that Dr. Shiva was the only one who was talking about reality. And since then, I've been following and learning, coming to these open houses every week. I have taken the course 30-40 times, the Foundations of Systems course. That has helped me now look at the whole world, look at every system, all the components, all the interconnection, which has given me the confidence to speak bravely, has given me the courage to speak up. And now I'm more enthusiastic. I wake up every day energized, purposeful, wanting to solve problems, unite people around truth, and innovating solutions to win truth, freedom, health. So I welcome everyone to join and contribute, do a little every day. That's when the needle will move. Things are not going to solve by themselves. Just like if the trash needs to go out, it doesn't go out on its own. The driveway doesn't, snow doesn't plow itself. So we have to put input, take the right action if we want things to happen. So this is the place, right place. The community, the course, it's the best thing that has happened to me, and I would like to thank Dr. Shiva for that. Welcome everyone. So let's build this movement. Let's take the right action to deliver solution to win truth, freedom, and health. Thank you.
Thanks, Suresh. John Medlar. John, are you there? Hey, John, can you take about a minute and just share your words of wisdom, John?
Okay. I guess what I would tell everyone is that I got into this sort of as an activist. I sort of met Dr. Shiva by chance. I was with a bunch of other young people trying to organize these free speech rallies and stuff like that, because we saw what today is called cancel culture start to rear its ugly head up on college campuses. That's where it got started, and we were looking for. We had a lot of passion, but didn't really have a lot of experience or theory or anything like I've learned since. But one of the things that we did is we were trying to get speakers for our rallies to try to draw a crowd or something, because we didn't really understand the concept of a bottoms up movement then or anything like that. And we think, well, you got to bring numbers, and the way you get numbers is to get like people that are bigger than you to promote you or something like that. Definitely a sort of top down thinking. But one of the people that we happened to run across was this guy who was running for Senate against Elizabeth Warren at the time under the moniker of only the real Indian can defeat the fake Indian. And we loved that slogan so much. We're like, we got to get this guy. And so that's how we met Dr. Shiva. And it turned out not only was he come up with great slogans, but he's a great organizer as well. So I've sort of so we ended up getting demonized by the mayor of Boston and by the police commissioner. They basically drudged up. They smeared our free speech rally into saying that it's all like free speech. That must mean white supremacy. It means you must want to all say the N-word or something like that. So they used it sort of as a political cudgel. It was because the Mayor Marty Walsh was also up for re-election, so he wanted to paint himself as the anti-racist person. So they say they drudged up like 40,000 people against us, using the controversy of the unfortunate Unite the Right Charlottesville rally, which had just happened a week beforehand. But we stood firm. We did our rally despite being surrounded by like 40,000 people. And Dr. Shiva stood by us when many others turned tail and refused to show up. All of the other speakers canceled. Dr. Shiva didn't, so he stood by me. I've stood by him ever since. So he's a real one. There's no one I'd rather stand by with.
I think what John, I think people need to understand what we're talking about here. Look, I just want to emphasize what the point that John's making. One is sort of having this nice social media thing, talking about political theory, which we believe people have to learn. It's like basically, you ever see these musicians who like one day they get a big one hit wonder and you never hear about them again? You know what I'm talking about? Like they do one single and you never hear about them anymore. Or a celebrity who does one good sitcom and you never hear them. You ever wonder why? And then other people always keep doing over and over. The difference is there is something to be said for training, for learning, doing your chops. Picasso just didn't go draw those crazy paintings, right? If you go look at his early work, he did a lot of hard work, okay? He had to do he went through the mechanics. So when it comes to changing the world, there's a theory, I just go do something. I run for office, or I just do something and the world just changes. It's not true. There are fundamental principles. So there's theory and then there's practice. So we've created the infrastructure to do both. So you take John's, not even, John, you just turned 30? You're 20?
No, I'm 28. I'm about to turn 29.
John understood something was wrong. He and I met to organize this free speech rally, okay? That free speech rally was converted into, we were all called Nazis.
Different things at once.
What's that? We were all called Nazis and white supremacists, okay? And when John says that they attacked us, let me just show you, 40,000 people came out because the government of Massachusetts had said that we were Nazis, that I was a white supremacist, okay? And to give you those pictures, just to make this real, here's a picture from that. 40,000 people came to protest us, right here, okay? You see thousands march against white nationalism. But what actually occurred, if you actually look at the picture, was this. This was us on the stage. We said Black Lives Do Matter, no to GMOs, and there was 40 of us, surrounded by a mob of 40,000 people. Look at these people, okay? And they were egged on by the media who had convinced people that we were white supremacists. So think about what's going on. These are people in Boston who supposedly go to MIT, Harvard, BU, right? The center, the mecca of education. So if you have any doubts about how fucked up the world is right now, how we have a bunch of educated, vulnerable elites. That's what they really are, educated, vulnerable elites. That's the 40,000 that showed up to protest against, and only one reporter in the Globe, I think you remember this, John, he wrote, he goes, there was a free speech rally, but without any free speech. Like he actually recognized there was actually a free speech rally. Mm-hmm. But the reason it got out of control like that was because a movement like ours doesn't exist. That's why. And the reason the Ukraine-Russia war is going on is because in Russia, there isn't a movement like ours, okay? But we were able to expose the election systems issue. We were able to call on the pandemic issue because our movement now exists. So I just want everyone to leave this very inspired, and you should all be excited because for the first time in human history, a movement like ours exists. So there's a left and then there's a right. And then there are the bullshitters on the left and the right, the Donald Trumps and the Bernie Sanders, the Kennedys, and they all exist to say they're the ones who are going to lead the world. A movement like ours has not existed to call them out. By the time a movement like ours figures it out, it's too late. One of them hijacked the movement, okay? So this is what's so profound about, to everyone listening, all over the world, that for the first time in human history, the slaves are actually organizing with science and theory. You know, there's a, I don't know if you guys can see this. Someone sent me this today. I'll put it up here. It's a very interesting, can you guys see this? John, can you see this here?
Yeah.
It's a picture of Malcolm X. Again, I want to, he says, we're not outnumbered, we're out-organized. And the reason the slaves have been out-organized is because they didn't understand the organizing principles. No one told us the principles, but guess what? We have those principles now. All right? This is why there's been the recurrent process of history. The slaves become more enslaved. So that's why our slogan is get educated or be enslaved. So people should be really excited because I'm talking about human history. Every time people try to rise up, they made it a little bit and they fell, made it a little bit and fell. And the people always screwed them We're not the obvious establishment, but the not so obvious establishment. I mean, if you take the story of Christ to be true, it wasn't the Romans, it was the Pharisees. If you take the Indian movement, it was Gandhi who screwed up the Indians, okay? If you look at the medical freedom movement, it has been the Robert Kennedy who's consistently screwed us up. He consistently screwed it up. If you look at the white working class in this country, they've been screwed over by the Donald Trumps of the world. Donald Trump is a nice guy. I've met with him, but he just wants to make money, guys. Everything is about money, 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 money. How much money can I make? Oh, election fraud? Save America. Oh, you want an endorsement? Give me money. Okay? So it's time that we all had respect for ourselves, learned this science so we don't waste our time. And the cool thing is all of you guys have this great community of people, right? You have people, you don't have to feel alone. And finally, our movement actually delivers solutions. We actually have a solution for innovation. We have Cytosol, which we are actually disintermediating academia. We're actually building real solutions at work. So everyone here has an opportunity not only to learn, teach, but also to be of service and to be in communion with other people so you don't feel like you're alone. So that's what I want to end with. And John, do you want to play any video to end with? John, do you have a video? But I think
I'm still doing the live here. I can't play anything while I'm doing the
okay,
live.
that's okay.
Yeah.
But let's finish up with a couple of questions. Go ahead, Misty. You have a question, and Shirley Durbin's got a question. Go ahead, Misty.
Yes, hi, thank you. I actually just wanted to apologize for being a bit awkward before. I've never actually been on a live video, so I didn't really know how to do it.
Okay.
But yeah, I wanted to tell you a little bit more. I actually used to help organize for March Against Monsanto as well as Moms Across America.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I never met Zen Honeycutt or them personally, but I did help with some rallies. I used to run the info tables at rallies for my other friends. I called it the Truth Booth, and they would invite me to come to their rallies. And we would always call them educational. We never said we were protesting. We always said we were educating. And then I stepped back from that when I had to focus more on my children. But I also, like the other gal in the thumb, spent some time as a clinical massage therapist, and that helped open my eyes to the Ayurveda and a lot of, like how you were talking about fascia. I was always so fascinated with that. And like you said, it really is the unrecognized biggest organ, and people don't even know it exists. It's like their little sausage casing, and they don't even know. And yeah, and I'm so excited to be a part of this, even though I'm late coming in. I woke up in 2000 when I saw what happened with the POTUS election, and then it was so heartbreaking when I saw it happen again exactly 20 years later.
Yep.
I also happened to be in DC on January 6th but we had literally just left 10 minutes before the whole place got locked down.
I say. Well, what's interesting is, Misty, we had a bus and ready to go on January 6th, and then I called off the whole thing because I saw a guy called Ali Alexander, a complete scumbag. He was running Stop the Steal, a money-making thing. And I started connecting the dots. This whole thing was about making money. So we called everything off. And that's when I started recognizing, connecting the dots, what Trump was about. You know, and there's a bunch of videos we've done on that. And, you know, he still invites me to meet with him, even though I've critiqued him, because Trump is about making money, you know? And he's about figuring out how to make money. That's what he's about, okay?
Well,
so
my biggest clue that he wasn't serious about wanting to actually win the election was how long it took him to even mention you or acknowledge you and all the work that you were doing
way at the end
and in Arizona, and he ignored all of it until it was basically too late.
Right, way at the end.
Yes.
And him, and what happens what I started with is there are real issues in the world. The grifters on the left and right, they treat this as entertainment. And this is what's disgusting what they do. They take a real issue and they say, oh, how can I make money? Maybe I can sell pillows. maybe I can talk about crazy stuff. And this is where the left starts attacking people, because there are fundamental issues in election systems. Then all the grifters came in and started talking about wacky stuff about election stuff. And they're absolutely false. I had to distance because they took fundamentally real issues and they made them crazy issues. Okay. Same thing with the issue on the left. There are issues with pollution and the environment. CO2 is not a pollutant, you see? So in every one of these issues, they take fundamental issues and they transform them into cray-cray issues. So the left will attack them and the right will attack them and the whole thing becomes some shit show. And the real issues fall by the wayside because they don't want to address
the same thing they do with bills. All the legislative bills, they do the same exact thing.
Right. So that's why our movement is very important that it exists, because we're going to be a force to make sure all this crap doesn't happen, you know? And we don't need Trump's recognition. I don't look for it. We don't need Tucker Carlson put us on. We're going to build our own, which we are, our own transformative channel. But very nice to have you, Misty.
Thank you so much.
Good to have you. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Good to have you. Go ahead.
I was just saying I was honored.
Great. I'm glad
Thank
you're here.
you.
Tracy, go ahead. What's your question?
Yes, I was wondering, sometime when you could, where does our justice system fit in all of this? Because I think, because I think I could speak for every American. They're just tired of all of the garbage, everything that's happened.
Well, Tracy, the justice system, you know, look, the United States, for that matter, the justice systems of all the countries are the most backward. So when you walk into a courtroom, I've said this before, you're actually walking into the 15th century, even in a US courtroom. Your honor, the concept of a lawyer being an esquire, this is all about nobility. The American Revolution was fought to get rid of nobility, right? But the elites are very clever. They'll do one step forward, but they'll always go 2 steps back, okay? They always want to keep the hold on the masses. So the lawyers and the legal systems are still like in the 12th century. So think about in the US system, gentleman, and there was knight, okay? Esquire was one level above gentleman and one level below knight. It's a term of nobility. And the lawyers, you know, lawyers, you never see lawyers suing lawyers, very rarely, okay? They're a little brotherhood or sisterhood among themselves. And judges typically are the most incompetent people who get to be judges. They're lawyers who could make it as lawyers. So the entire legal system and the entire structure of it is literally in the 12th or 15th century. It was never, the executive, at least in the US, the executive and the legislative elements advanced, but the justice systems are backward. And the only way anything's going to change, Tracy, is, you know, you learned in the course, is through bottoms-up movements. And the thing is, the masses are continually being distracted every microsecond to not respect themselves. Respect celebrities, respect a guru, respect a politician, but not respect yourself. And the only way to win is when people start respecting themselves, recognizing they can learn this stuff, and we can all collectively organize. Not just individually, but collectively. They actually like people individually being individual heroes, but they don't want people collectively organizing. And this is a retraining we have to do people. We have to teach people how to think again. But again, I can't overemphasize this. We exist. Our existence is that perturbation that is going to change things. And it is changing things. If you look at the last 3 years, the elites and those who know us as grifters know we were the ones who brought up the real issue of the pandemic. We were the ones who brought up the real issues of government and big tech. All the big issues this movement exposed. And whether they give us credit or not, they know it. And they watch our videos. They try to get ahead of us, or they try to mimic us, you know? So that's why it's very, very important that all of you learn this material. Suresh said he went through the course 40 times. The stuff is deep stuff, guys. So don't take it lightly. Oh, I took the course once, I know it all. No, you don't. Take it again, get involved, take it again, get involved, take it again, and teach others. All right. Great to have you, Tracy.
Thank you.
Yep. And let's go over to Shirley Durbin. Shirley, you have a question? We'll take one more. It's getting, John, what time is it? It's almost 10. Go ahead, Shirley.
Hey, I just wanted to say thank you very much for what you've done. You've given me hope that we can change things. I'm so grateful. I became a warrior, and I have gone through as many of your books as I could inhale at once. I'm going through the program. I'm grateful, so grateful. And when you said the other night, if we would get behind you, if we would get up get off our asses and get behind you to support you, you would run for senator. Well, I'm in Ogden, Utah, but I'll make all the phone calls you want because I support you 100%. So
yeah,
thank you.
Sure, Shirley, thank you very much. Very kind of you. What we talked about yesterday was we did a video talking about Republicans and Democrats suck. It was a very nice, sort of fun video John and I did. And then we exposed the two idiots that are running in Massachusetts. They're literally, a friend of mine, Frank Licata, put it in a very disgusting way. He said he saw their debates and he goes, I have to choose between vomit and diarrhea. But that is the choices that they give people, right? So, I was going to run for governor and we decided not to because we thought it's a lot of energy, but we wanted to build this movement. So we put out the question that Shirley's talking about. Hey, if people are saying, oh, you should run for this, you should run for that. The only reason to run for office is if we inspire and we enlighten other people, right? The ends and the means have to be the same. It's like every time a Nick Rivera gets it or a Shirley gets it, that's a win. You see, that's inspiring. It's not like, oh, I'm going to win office and then I'm going to be a senator. No, that's like a completely fucked up way of looking at the world. The issue is, what is the goal? The goal is Tracy Peters gets this knowledge. He becomes a leader. The issue is Crystal Ellis gets it. The issue is Heather Byrd. You see, the ends and the means are united. Now, if with running for office, all of you guys can get even more excited and participate, that's the reason to run. So that's why we put it out there. If we decide to run against Elizabeth Warren, who's a complete disgusting human being, okay? On all levels of existence, in all dimensions, right? We're the ones who have forced her to take the DNA test. If we decide to do that, we will do that as a vehicle so Misty can be involved, right? And activate herself so Nick can be involved. That activism is what we want. And we will figure out a way to do that as bottoms up, independent of these two ridiculous nonsense parties. We'll never want an outsider, okay? And we're very transparent about this. So John was saying, oh, they're probably listening to everything we do. We said, John, we say everything openly anyway. There's nothing left. Everything we're doing, we publish out there, right? So nothing we say is secretive because there's nothing to be secretive about. But yeah, so if we decide to run, I will expect all of you guys to, if you're out of wherever you are in the world, if you're in Russia, you can make a phone call, okay? Call up. You can call from Russia and you can say, I'm in Russia. I want you to vote for this guy because Massachusetts is swamped. They go, really? Or if you're in India, it'd be pretty hilarious. And if you're here in Massachusetts, you can get on the ground. It's going to be a very fun campaign. And we have to make this stuff exciting and fun because, we have to inspire ourselves. The soul matters. We can't always be depressed and depressed and depressed and depressed. Oh, this shit doesn't up. The reality is our coming together is a huge victory, right? We have to celebrate that. Okay. So Natalia, go ahead. Did you have a comment, Natalia?
No, Dr. Shiva, I would like to ask if you have a Russian version of the book, System of Revolution.
Yeah, can you translate it?
On Kindle. I don't have it. Unfortunately, right now, I would not have a time for another month or two, but I would like to introduce on Monday to one community I'm going to meet to have this Russian Kindle version. Let them read and then get involved in the discussion.
So what we will do is we'll find someone. By the way, if anyone knows other languages, this book should be translated. It's like sort of the manifesto in every language. So if anyone wants to help do that, so Natalia, we'll look for someone here, but if anyone knows people in Russia, but we will do that. Okay?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Natalia. Great to have you. All right, everyone. So here's a homework assignment. If anyone listening out there, go sign up to become a Warrior Scholar. It's the best thing you ever did for yourself. Do it for yourself. If you're already a Warrior Scholar, put your email address where you're from, because we want to assign you to one of the communities so you can connect up with other people. So that's another benefit. And the third thing is October 29th, go to the shop and you'll find it. We have the Vaccine Safety and Immune Health Conference that's coming up. Okay. And invite as many people as you know, because we want to arm people with the body's and immune system. And bring your doctors, bring all the people who are naysayers, you know? Sharon, you're a nurse, bring your doctor friends. Deanne, bring your doctor friends, you know? Bring doctors to this, because I think many of these doctors, it's an opportunity for them to get over their ego and actually learn stuff, you know? Because when it comes to this vaccine model, the entire pushing of this one size fits all was because pharma companies have been losing money. Pharma companies have been tanking. They haven't been making money over the last 10 years. They've been losing money. They needed vaccines to save them. Donald Trump did for big pharma what Obama did for big banks. They would have been vaporized over the next couple of years. So vaccines saved them. Pfizer lost $25 billion over the last 7 years. Their revenue went from 65 to 40. In 1 year, their revenue went from 40 to 85 billion. So this is the kind of stuff we need to start educating people on, okay? It's about money, it's about profit, it's power, profit, and control, okay? All right, everyone, thank you. I look forward to seeing you guys. We'll start starting next Wednesday or Tuesday, and Ask Me Anything, where you take the course, you take notes, and you come in and start learning even deeper, okay? And everyone get involved, all right? There's a lot of opportunities. If you know how to write, if you know technology, we need people. Everything we do, John did mention it, but everything you see on that site is built by volunteers. All of our servers are running in our data centers. We don't use Amazon, okay? The product MV25 I made, we don't sell it on Amazon. Those people, if you guys want to be distributors, let us know. We want to walk the walk, okay? All right, everyone, thank you. Have a good night. It was great seeing you all. Thank you for all you sharing your stories. It was wonderful. Thank you for all your, thank you. Be well. Suresh, will you get the chat?
I think John